Vigilante Wednesday here on the 82nd episode of the Culture Crime Fighters, and I'm joined by the man, the myth, the legend himself, Matt from Fireball Productions. How you doing?
How's it going? I'm well, my friend. I am well. How are you?
I'm going. I'm doing.
Yeah?
I'm doing.
How's the working out thing
You're gonna
going?
ask. Not good.
I have to ask.
Yeah,
Gotta
I'm
ask.
glad you asked. Not good. And I ain't gonna
No?
lie to you. I ain't gonna lie to you. This week was not as good as last week, but we shall return. We're not giving up.
Gotta get that Fitbit.
Yeah.
Fitbit. It keeps you honest.
Yeah, I do.
Good
need
for you.
that pressure to perform, so to speak.
Well, when I look back at the month
Mm-hmm.
and I see like that's all I worked out this month.
Yeah.
Oof. It's like you can't delude yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't know if I said on this show or my own show, but I said the same. But the same thing is true when you do have a good week, and then you have like 2 shitty days. It feels terrible. But you're like, no, I worked out 5 times this week. I'm fine.
Yeah.
It's great to have the record. I think
You're probably right. You're probably right.
and it's also like the information you're gonna get out of it, like your heart health information, because it's constantly reading my heart rate all the time. So like I know, like especially when I after the cocktail lounge the other night, I went to a party.
Hey.
And I was there late. I didn't plan on being there late. I had to be at work at 11. I barely slept, basically.
How was it? Because you talked about it a little bit on
Fucking
the
awesome.
Really?
It was so much fun. And we joked about what it was, but it wasn't all that. It was my friend. He lives with this dude, a few dudes. It's kind of like they're younger. They're in their 20s. But it has like a little, not a frat vibe, but it's just kind of like bros, boys, kind of vibe. And they had a party, but they had bands. Like they had on their patio. And there was like different bands. There was like one of them had like an album release.
Yeah.
There were vendors. Like there was a CBD and like glass pipe for marijuana vendor.
Oh man.
And then there was someone straight up just selling weed. And then also I think if you give him like the wink and the nod, he could also give you like, mushrooms and Molly. And I was like, that is wild, man.
It's Austin though, man. You know,
Yeah.
it's Austin. That's some Austin shit.
It was
it's
thoroughly Austin.
That's I've been wanting to get out there just to be a part of the music stuff, man, because it was known all the bands in Austin and all the like different, not just different genres. Everyone would go to Austin. That was like kind of the place for the longest, at least in the late 2000s, early 2010s. Austin was like the place to be in music.
It was cool. I had a blast, dude. I had a really fun time. I knew a lot of the people there because I used to work with a bunch of them. So it was good to see them, hang out. I made out with a girl and Vigilante Williamson.
Yeah.
I know maybe after last week people might not believe this, but now I have proof I'm not racist because I made out with a girl who happened to be African American. She was a Nubian queen.
Either that or you have like some racial
One of those weird. Yeah, you can. There's no way out, but
no way out, bro.
But no, it was fun. She was hot. I used to work with her, and I was like,
Okay.
yeah, she was like throwing all these comments at me. I was like,
In general though, you have like mentioned quite a few black girls.
I have been with quite a few, and it's kind of a running theme with some of those girls that I've been with.
Yeah.
Not all of them, but they have many of them, more than one, have asked, "Is this your first time with a black girl?" Which the answer was no. After I was 18.
Like, what are they? Well, actually, I remember in my late 20s, somebody asked me the first time I was with a white girl, and I'm like, I didn't want to say like I smashed way too many of you bitches, but I'm like, no, it's not.
I think they thought that I was like, ooh, you're like this inexperienced like suburban kid who's like in the big city hanging out, and I was like, nah. Even when I was in the suburbs, I was hooking up with black girls.
You ruined their little fantasy.
Yeah, I know. I think they wanted that for some reason.
Just
I don't know.
tell
Maybe it was
them
just
yeah
like a
next
hot
time, man.
thing for them. I don't know idea. No, I don't want to lie. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh, yeah, I see. Now we have morals.
It's a weird thing to lie about. I mean, I don't even necessarily know how like lying
Yeah, it probably doesn't
would
help.
give me an advantage.
No, I don't think it does. I just think it does help their little fantasy experience of like corrupting some white guy, I guess.
Could be.
I don't know.
No,
Not
but this
a
girl
black
was
woman.
she was pretty sexy.
Okay.
She had a good body.
Okay.
I liked it.
Shout
But it was
to,
a fun.
shout
It was a
to-
fun time.
What they call it? The swirling?
Just swirling.
Whatever.
I may or may not have done some drugs that keep you up longer.
Okay.
I kind
Little
of
performance enhancers, we'll call them.
maybe not. Maybe I should have.
Maybe it's
But
not.
I
Hey,
did.
we're all adult humans.
Yeah, we're all adult humans, and I barely slept Friday, and then like I was a fucking zombie yesterday, and like
Yeah.
I slept like a hard, like deep, like 8.5, 9 hours, and I still am like showing up to work today sucked.
Yeah.
I was not happy about it. No, man. I was just like I laid in bed as long as I could, and I just had to go to work. I was like, no, I don't want to.
Sounds like me every day.
I was watching the Jets before that.
Yeah.
Did you see that?
No, I haven't. I've been out of the loop with football the past few weeks. What's going on there? The Jetsing it up, I see.
I didn't watch the whole game because I had to go to work. I had to be at work at 3, and that was like when the game was starting to end. It was a 3-3 bout. I mean, literally, dude.
Yeah.
Neither team. Zach Wilson, Zach Wilson threw 9 for 22 with 77 yards on
Sounds
the
like
day.
1957. Jesus Christ.
Buddy, that's like quarterbacks have bigger quarters than that.
Right? Yeah.
You-
Bigger drives than that, man.
Bigger drives. Yeah, right. Yeah, they totally
Like,
do.
Goodness gracious.
Is awful. And then the Jets lost with 30 seconds to go in the fourth quarter on a punt return.
Oh, no.
It was 10-3. That was the final score.
I'm thinking of another New York team that lost infamously when we were younger on the punt return to the Eagles, the Giants.
I don't remember that
Some,
game.
they kicked to like prime. Was it Deshaun Jackson?
Oh yeah, the showboat.
Yeah, they kicked to him when he was in his prime, and I only God knows why they
was
did.
good.
And he fucking returned it for a touchdown the last like minute.
He was doing that
just
like every week.
yeah, and or some long
Crazy.
bomb touchdown. This is when Michael Vick was the quarterback for those couple years. And he was throwing
Oh
like these-
yeah. Oh Vic with the Eagles. Oh I remember.
Yeah, that era.
Yeah.
and they fucking kicked to this guy. He returns a touchdown, wins it. This is like 09, I guess.
Did the Lions
10.
beat the? Did they beat the Giants today?
They might have because it's
Yeah.
time for the Lions to start covering the spread. You know how I think
31-18.
about that. We had Pat Truthner on earlier this week or last week. So it's time for the Lions. They used to do this when I was a kid. I had no idea like why are they shitty all year, and then toward the end of the year they beat Green Bay or they beat the Bears. They beat some team that they had no business beating. So it's about that time of the year. for the
Yeah.
Lions
How'd
to
that
start
go
getting
with
their
Pat? I listened to a little bit of it, but I was heading. I think I was hanging out with Daniela
Yeah.
or something. But so I only heard like a little bit of it. But
Yeah, it was fun from my perspective. He liked it, and we had a few new people who've showed up and been a part of the channel since he showed up. Got a couple of subs that I've already lost, so that's fun. But there are
that's
actual
also good.
individuals who are subbed and who are new who are still here. So
fun.
Like-
Well, maybe we'll see them in our chat today.
yeah, we probably will. We probably will. Shout out to Captain Slappy, Matthew DeBay, and a few others who I've seen in some
Cool.
of the chats.
That's
So,
fun. I mean, at least
Yeah.
there's that.
Yeah, and I'm not gonna act like I gave him like some fierce interview because I'm already. I still asked him questions that like okay, if it's fake, why? What about this? And I thought that was still productive. But of
You
course,
gave him like you challenged it a little bit.
challenged him a little bit, but I'm not gonna act like I was a hardball interview because I wasn't. Because I didn't even have
Well,
the interest to be. But I
yeah,
did
it
show
wasn't-
challenge his thoughts.
Wasn't why you were there. It wasn't why
Yeah.
you were having the conversation.
Yeah,
You just want to be agreed with.
Yeah, a
I'm
little
just
bit.
kidding.
A little bit. No, I just like to explore this stuff. I like to explore this stuff, and I think, listen, we can all say what we want, but we'd be all lying if we didn't think there was something up with sports some of the time. You
Dude,
know what I'm
even
saying?
mainstream news journalists have suggested that the NBA is rigged.
Yeah, because it's too easy to rig it. You know what I'm saying? It's so easy, especially the NBA with the refs, and now the NFL. I think with this pass interference shit and some of these holding calls, they can do whatever they want in any fucking play, any given play.
And
So
there's
it's-
also like that weird draft lottery that they have.
oh God, that
Like,
is definitely rigged.
You know what I mean? Like, how suspicious is that?
Yeah, there was a thing. I think I saw this on a mainstream platform talking about how many number one picks have been somewhat associated with LeBron directly, or Cleveland got the number one pick one year. They got it when he left. It becomes Kyrie Irving, and he comes back. Then they traded for Anthony Davis. That franchise gets the number one pick.
It's like how many of them go to L.A. or fucking
Oh yeah,
Boston?
L.A. or New
It's
York,
like it's just
Boston.
crazy.
That's
You're
another
like,
thing.
what are the odds?
Yeah, all these coastal cities always having good
The
teams.
big
Every year.
markets somehow always, have
Yeah.
these killers. It's like that's
How many
wow.
times is LA just taking the best center in the league and they just somehow end up on the Lakers? It's
Isn't
just
that
like
wild? Just wild.
it just keeps happening to
And a
what he's
town that's like central in the media that fucking runs on basketball.
right.
Wow. Huh.
Yeah, like
What
how
do you
does this
know?
keep happening? And then
Yeah.
then they get LeBron. Like how what are the odds of one franchise getting Wilt Chamberlain, Magic Johnson, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, then getting
Shaq,
Shaquille O'Neal,
Kobe.
Kobe Bryant,
Yeah.
then getting LeBron
Then
James?
LeBron.
Explain the mathematical odds of all that shit happening.
The thing is, a lot of those guys, though, it's like, all right, whatever. Like, they went there as free agents. Like, that's, like, a little different. But, like, when it's, they just happen to draft this well. It's happening. You're like,
Yeah.
you finish top of the league and you get the best draft pick. Like, wow, that's convenient.
Yeah, it's just it's some shit.
Yeah.
So it's hard not to think that something's up. You don't think it's to the full extent that maybe we think, and that's fine. I can't, I don't know. I don't go to these Eyes Wide Shut parties. You might be right. I just think it's fun to explore this stuff sometimes, man.
I do think it can be a lot of fun. Yeah.
This week we explored some stuff. We talked about some potential stuff with the celebrities. Some of that came from your favorite guy, Ye, talking about these potential sacrifices.
His name is Ye.
It's Ye. Don't be disrespectful.
Did I tell this to you directly, or was this when I was on my own show? But he calls his fucking shoes Yeezys. Don't get mad at me that I get it confused about whether it's Yee or Ye. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like,
oh yeah, they are Yeezys.
You do use that, like, pronunciation. Like, relax.
But it's Kanye West.
I know, but it is kind of funny to call him Yee.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it's like, the thing is, like, regardless of whether what he's saying is accurate or inaccurate, or if it's, him being silenced, he's fucking obnoxious.
A little bit.
He's obnoxious, dude. Like, he always is sounding off.
But I mean, part of that is the media's fault. They're always there with a fucking camera in his face.
No. He puts a lot of that shit out on Instagram, or
He
at least
does.
he used to before he got deplatformed. But it was just like,
it's still the most covered. Like,
I know that, but he has control over what he says.
Yeah. I'm not saying
He
he's
just
not
always has
obnoxious,
this,
but like,
he's just got this vibe of just like, I'm being wronged. It's like, you're a billionaire. You know what I mean? Like, how wrong did the world do you?
well, listen. Hey, if you believe what he alleges, maybe they took his mom from him. I don't know.
It could be. I mean, there was always that theory with Jordan
Yeah, he bought up
and
Jordan.
his dad.
He
I
bought
actually
up-
always thought that seemed plausible to me.
Yeah, I definitely think something was up
With his gambling debts and shit and the baseball stuff.
Something felt fishy about that situation, especially the gambling debts, man. You start owing some money. That's that's another kind of revelation I've kind of made with these conspiracy theories. You look into it. A lot of times, they got the little Molech and the demons and shit. That's cute. A lot of times there's some money involved. You know what I'm saying? Somebody owes somebody money, and somebody ends up hurt. I mean, that's old school mob shit. You don't need a new thing. You don't need Molech. You just need money. So if Jordan really had some debt and he wasn't trying to pay it, and somebody said, okay, then, well, your dad's gone. That's alleged, but that's a widely held theory, and that's absolutely plausible in this crazy world. Who knows? I don't know. I'm not trying to get sued or anything like that, but just something feels up. Something feels fishy about some of these situations.
Okay. So on that, vaguely on the topic, but on the topic of like conspiracy theory and stuff like that. Now this is more of like, this is like a leftist, like SJW one, but this woman whom I was unfortunately serving last night, threw this at me, and I didn't even know what to say. I was just like, what? So she was saying something. It was all, it's all imagine the typical SJW point of view. This marginalized group is oppressed by the system, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
The particular framing of this one was black women receive poorer health care or die more often in surgery or something to this effect, something around that, because misogynistic, racist white men secretly believe that black people can take more pain than white people. Have you ever heard of this?
I've heard elements of it in separate. So the one thing, let's go with some of the verifiable stuff. I've heard in general, this is not for black women specifically, but in women, that heart disease can be harder to diagnose in women than men.
Okay.
And that's like something that's potentially there. I'm trying to frame this. I've also even thought of the, like, I call it the dumb Ubermensch theory, where I feel like there are definitely, especially in sports, sometimes the way they talk about athletes, where they think of black people as some sort of genetically superior race.
That's interesting.
But maybe not as intelligent. And then some of that, oh, you should just play through the injury, you'll get over it, sort of thing. So I definitely think
that I would entertain much more. Like, I would entertain something like that more, like almost like Remember the Titans kind of thing, where there's almost like you kind of treat the black players a little. I would entertain in the sports realm, certainly, because it's objective that black athletes on the whole tend to be more athletically talented than white athletes. I mean, that's just kind of like a pretty accurate generalization. All you need to do is, how many white cornerbacks are there?
Yeah. They used to have
3?
back in the day. Yeah, Jason Sehorn.
No, there was a few, but they're the minority. Like, they're the exception to the rule.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And wideouts for the most part too. It's like, but it is what it is. So I would almost buy that, but this was more about doctor care. She was more about framing it in the sense that, like, basically what her conclusion was is that more black women die. And there's also like an obstetrician stuff too, which I was like, isn't that mostly a female dominated profession? So I don't know how that's men's fault, but
yeah,
it was something to that effect, where it was like, they subconsciously or have a conscious bias or some kind of bias where they think black women can handle more pain, so they do a poorer job with them in surgery or some shit like that.
I don't know that, but if you're just talking about the elements of it, I've heard, like I said, I've heard elements. I definitely think just overall there's a perception among some black people that, and some of that goes back to the Tuskegee experiment and stuff. And I know a lot of people are like, oh, you keep talking about the same things. Like, well, they impacted a lot of people and a lot of the way they framed the shit. I don't like going to doctors. And I've heard, some black people don't like going to doctors. I don't know why I don't. I just don't trust doctors in general. I don't necessarily think of some racial reason, but I don't personally like going to doctors. And I can't, listen, obviously I'm not a doctor. I can't speak to the validity of the theory. But I mean, why someone might believe that, I can see some of the reasons why. Like, I mean, there's a lot of people who believe that and I know it could be circular to some, whatever, who believe that, or they just think we're indestructible. You know what I'm saying? Or they just think we're like not human, like we're superhumans when we're not. So is some of that in her theory? I'm sure she got it from some leftist thing, but it's not completely. Some blog. Yeah, sure, read it in a blog. She saw it, heard it in school or something. I'm sure that's where the origin is, but there is a distrust, I think, in the black community in the medical profession, and I do know
that might be, but that doesn't necessarily make it founded.
That specific thing, yeah, I'm not saying it's founded, but I mean, I think.
Well, I think she was like, her argument is that it's founded. She wasn't saying like black people don't, do trust doctors less, or like, all right, maybe, but her thing was that no, like, they're so biased, they're so racist that they don't like treat them the same way, and that's why more black women die, like on the operating table and stuff like that. And I was like, there is no fucking way that's what happens. That statistic may be accurate, but there's no way most doctors are so racist that they overlook procedure, that they'd open themselves up to lawsuits, that they would kill people when they took the Hippocratic Oath. Because they're so racist. It's the dumbest shit I ever heard.
I got an angel's advocate answer to that.
Okay,
maybe it's not racism, but what about all this? You talk about the Hippocratic Oath. What about a certain medical thing that's been pushed on a lot of people that suddenly died, was trending on Twitter, and there's people who've totally took the Hippocratic Oath, who knew a little bit more information than the average person on that, and they
can't
pushed
argue with that.
Society.
Can't argue with that, but I would still push back
just saying
on
that
the
from
racial. It would almost be like,
element.
If that was the case, then you're more in line with the people like her that would suggest something like this. So if you You know what I mean? If you
Well, I'm just
believed
trying
in
to
the
be consistent amongst theories. If we've
sure.
already said that, and then a lot of us do believe that there are individuals who don't take their Hippocratic oath as seriously as they should for some money. The idea that some may have a bias is not as crazy as it may
No,
seem,
no, no.
even
I,
if it
I wouldn't. I wouldn't
yeah.
even discount it as
And
a
again,
potential, like you know what I mean, like for people. But on a grand scale, that's fucking retarded.
on a grand scale, I would tend to agree, but I don't want to. I think too often I'm playing angel's advocate. Like I said, I can't speak to the veracity of her thing. Of what she said. I'm not a black woman. I'm not a doctor. I'm a black man, and so I know some of the stuff. And like I
But
said,
even someone being a black woman doesn't give you insight into everybody. It's just your experience.
yeah, but if you have an experience, it has a it's still a frame. Listen,
Yeah.
I'm trying to provide the angel's advocate answer or the just challenge it because it's like we can't just not go from not trusting doctors on one thing and then when something doesn't necessarily fit our worldview, oh well, then like I don't know. I don't. I honestly don't. I
I mean,
personally
I
like you
don't
doubt it.
obviously know. I just
Yeah,
doubt it based on what I know about people.
I
I don't believe
personally
most
like you
people would
doubt it.
hold that.
Also think like a lot of these racial things, there are other factors. First thing I thought of is what percentage of black females are dependent on like public service healthcare and how
That
much does
would
that influence the statistics? That's the
most
most
likely that
logical
I would go
answer.
there first.
That's probably the most logical answer. That's the true
Yeah.
reason why you
I
can
would
have it.
think that the basically the apathy would
Mhm.
come more from the fact that it's a public health care system that doesn't give a shit about the individual because there's no financial incentive to do so. And
Yes.
most likely they're in a system like that. That I buy that in a second. But the idea that doctors go into surgery with like less precaution because it's a black woman, it's how widespread could that possibly be that it would impact the statistics so much that that would be the number one conclusion you draw with that issue? I'm really hard pressed to believe that. You would have to like Alex from Clockwork Orange pry my eyes open and force me to consume that information until I believed it. I just on principle, I'm like, I don't believe you.
Well, like I said, I think the public health thing is the more plausible answer, but I can understand why somebody they see the statistic and then they come up with the conclusion. I'm not saying that's the right way to behave things. Like I said, the answer is probably too much public health. That's why socialism doesn't work. There, I said it.
Fair.
But
Okay.
I think the public health is probably adding those statistics. I'm sure if you just got that from like, if you somehow could find a metric to qualify quality of doctors, and you control for that, the statistics probably wouldn't be as bad. You know what I mean? If you said of a certain quality of doctor, what do we get across the board amongst races? It's probably going to be higher quality, but not everyone has access to that quality of doctor. If you're going to the, Baltimore clinic or whatever, you know what I'm saying? You're not going to
Right.
get the same
Overworked
quality.
fucking interns.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're not going to get the same quality of doctor as somebody who's got their own personal doctor that they have a relationship with. And so you would need a metric to specify
That's
that.
what I mean. It
That'd be
was
the only
like
way to objectify it.
what was so obnoxious was just how like autocratic she was with this conclusion. I'm just like, I've read studies that like it frames a certain way, and you look at the facts, you're like, no, that's a conclusion you could draw, but it kind of sounds like you came at this whole idea with that preconception, and you're using whatever facts come across your purview to validate that preconception. You didn't
I would say
actually
it's a
look at the
common
data
theme, though.
objectively.
You're not wrong. Not challenging your rightness, but I just want to like frame it like the person who said it was a human. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, they have a leftist spin maybe that they're using for it,
Of course.
and yeah, whatever reasons, but they didn't, even disagreeing with the statement. I understand how they may have came to it. It's not illogical. It's not. It seems like it's from left field, maybe on first blush, but like I said, the public health thing. You start framing some of the perceptions or
Well,
thought
like I said, like
that exist. That's how
it
someone
wouldn't
frames it.
it wouldn't shock me that that was actually the case about like black women in these particular circumstances come out like less on top than that wouldn't shock me if that was the case. I'd be like, okay, but the reasoning behind it was what I
Yeah.
was just like, shut the fuck up. Like, it's
Well,
just it's that whole, it is a conspiracy theory worldview that like there's all these people out there with like, all this secret malintent to just, well, who cares, whatever, they're monkeys. It's like, that does not happen on a wide scale. I'm sure it happens. There's
maybe,
people
maybe
who
not.
think
How
that,
many
but
doctors? I mean, we don't listen. How many doctors who exist in some of these areas, in some of these rundown areas, Chicago, my hometown, Detroit, Baltimore, whatever other area. Now you can talk San Francisco and Seattle and that stuff too. How many of these guys there? It does. It doesn't take that many of these guys with these attitudes to have a wide impact. You know what I'm saying? If there's one in each of one of these cities, they can impact thousands of lives. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, I'm not, like I said, I'm not saying,
And so
like,
I'm
not
not
ruling
trying
it
to.
out as a possibility. I'm just saying I don't think it's the root cause
I don't
of
think it's
that
the root
problem.
cause either. But I'm trying to like.
And I guess I'm
get-
just so tired of hearing everything framed in white supremacy. It's just like,
I get
so
it, and I got
lazy.
tired of it. But I'm also starting to feel like, okay, I don't want to throw the baby with the bathwater every time I hear something, right?
Sure.
And so that's where I'm doing. I'm almost doing the invert thing of you, where I'm like, okay, listen, the person who said this, they didn't just come to it because Twitter told them. Sometimes I feel like,
Well, it's a white girl. It probably was.
okay, it was a white girl, probably was. Oh, it was a white girl this whole time?
Yeah, it's a white girl.
Jesus.
Yeah.
If I knew that one even had this argument. Well, maybe I'm racist. Huh?
Ah.
Oh no.
Look, it's not me this week.
No, but it's just I can see where people might believe that, who aren't doing it because they're malicious, who aren't believing it because it's crazy, but they have a few experiences and they put two and two together, and maybe they went to a clinic once and didn't have a good experience, and all of a sudden that's their worldview. It didn't come in a vacuum. It doesn't mean it's right. It doesn't mean it should just be accepted. I'm not saying
It's just like, I
accept it.
never hear an alternative conclusion. It's never like, yeah, in here it's this, but in other times, oh no, it's actually just this, that they're underprivileged socioeconomic. Like, it's never not that. It's always that conclusion. No matter what the problem is, it's some power dynamic, it's some oppression, it's some racism, it's every single problem can always be broken down into some sort of latent bias or inherent oppression or something. It's never not that. And you're like, okay, now every time I hear that, I just tune out because that's your fucking problem for everything. Everything's that. It's like, okay, you lost me. I'm out.
Hey, I understand that point of view too, where you just like, okay, I hear this every day about everything. So even if there's a sliver of anything, even if, I get it. And I also say, New York to LA to Austin. You know what I'm saying?
Not a bad point.
Not you're going to hear it a lot more than the average bear, so to speak.
Oof.
Especially
Boy, I
being
tell you.
in the industry you've been in.
Huh?
I don't know how many people are going to hear it more. You know what I'm
These
saying?
are population centers, though. It's
Yeah,
a valuable cross section.
Very true. It's very true. Yeah, that's true. It's valid.
It was just obnoxious. She was sort of a cunt. Had that kind of
Well, not knowing she's white, yeah. Fuck that white girl.
just snotty.
Sick of them ruining everything.
Ugh.
You ruined all of Marvel. Damn it! I was cool with you guys back in the days, and you just fucked up everything. What happened?
Yeah, I think it's because they. It's what's it's that tribal thing. It's that crowd thing. Popularity. Girls like tend to gravitate towards what's the group is sort of trending towards. Like, I mean, I think I told you, like, flat out, like, there was a girl that I was seeing for a little while, younger girl, legal, sentient dildo, and she flat out would say something to me that disagreed with the group of girls, but then when she would hang out with the group of girls, would not assert that opinion even kinda. Would just go with the group. It's just like, okay, but you don't agree with that. Why are you going along with it?
That's evolutionary psychology. That's why. Because she can't stand out in the group. She has to exist in the group and have hierarchy in the group. That's her tribal need. That's why.
And that's why it's like all that. Ah, fuck! I lost my point. It was something that.
Well, I had a point.
Go ahead,
when you
please.
find it, because I that's why a lot of this stuff whether you call it politics, cultural, a lot of it, as much as it existed beyond, racial or political lines, a lot of it was about gender lines, believe it or not, just masculinity and femininity. You look at a lot of the leftist talking points, they sound a bit feminine. They sound
Oh,
a
totally.
bit, you know what I mean? And a lot of right so-called talking points sound more masculine. Do it yourself, pick yourself up,
Dude,
sort of shit.
I
So that
swear
definitely was the energy.
that's where all this shit started. Was like when women started getting involved. I swear to God. Once they started with like the participation trophies, no men would ever second that. No man would ever co-sign that unless they like went along with it. But they wouldn't come up with that idea.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like all that coddling kids and "Ooh, you're the best."
Well, you know what?
And
Actually, I'll challenge that. There
okay,
was a generation of men, these soccer husbands, who had their little soccer mom wives, and they just like, okay, honey, we're gonna do a participation home for Johnny. And it's like, okay, you know what I mean?
they
The dads
okayed it,
from,
but it
yep, they
wasn't their
okayed it.
idea.
It wasn't their idea, but they co-signed because they could still give them little soccer mom pussy, and so they just clapped their hands and gave Johnny a participation trophy.
Because you know what? I bet this is just a wild thought that just popped into my head. I have no validity, no studies to think of this, but it's because probably most of those women did not have to make a life for themselves. It was
Mm-hmm.
made for them once they just hopped on that dude's dick. So they don't look at the world as like you have to grow through your failures and accomplish things and get better to acquire assets and things that'll keep you safe and happy. They're just like everyone should be nice. Everyone should be
Everyone should just be
pleasant to
nice to
each
people,
other.
and everything should just be
Yeah.
good. Yeah,
And
they
it's like,
talk
yeah,
about
bitch, but that ain't the real world. Like
no. Sorry. They talk about
it is such a weird, like, participation trophies are just such a weird concept. Like, you just show up and get a trophy just for being there.
the
Like,
wor-
what lessons are you teaching the kid?
God, that was one of the worst things to happen to like society. One of those little things that we didn't really pay attention to at the
Didn't even
time,
think about.
and it had such a negative impact on
Yep,
society, such a widespread,
it's
obvious
bad.
negative impact. Especially when the participation trophy generation got their hands on some of this social media to
Start
give
getting
them more
jobs at Twitter.
credibility. Oh boy, the Twitter thing, man. You know what? I am sick of everyone talking about the Twitter thing because I still like, is this even valid social media? We're finally going to find out if it is a valid product long term. I'm excited, but I am also excited to see what happens. I'm like, is this going to work long term? Because everyone's, all these people are now back on Twitter. I wouldn't just follow Kanye. Speaking of your man's, yeah,
Is he back on?
yeah, he's back on. Him, Orange Man, everyone. Pretty
I
much.
saw Orange Man's back on. Have you looked at any of Orange Man's tweets?
No, I didn't see. I don't even know if he started anything. I just saw Kanye send a test tweet, and then for maybe ironic, said shalom. So that's all I saw, and I didn't. I've just been seeing a lot more. Like I said, I saw the
I
suddenly.
forgot about Trump being back. Yeah.
Yep, yeah. So what was it? Suddenly died trended, and just seeing some of these
Whoa.
trends. What?
87.2 million followers. Just got it all.
Wow.
Buddy, you want to hear such an insight into the people that I follow on Twitter?
Yeah.
Okay, so I follow just under 400 people.
Okay.
196 of them follow Trump. Maybe I am in an echo chamber, guys.
A little bit.
Maybe I am. No, he has not
possible.
tweeted. He still hasn't tweeted.
Well, maybe he's trying to push that Truth Social.
The last time he tweeted was 2 days after January 6th.
I'm scared to see how many people. And I gotta look. How many people do I know, or I follow Old Orange Man? I'm sure a higher percentage as well.
Did you see though that like
71 out
Elon?
of how many? Yeah. No. What? Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, that Elon left it Democratic.
What do you mean?
He said, "Should I reinstate Donald J. Trump onto Twitter?"
Oh, I didn't know that. So he had a poll.
He had a poll, and it won out, and it wasn't like a small sample set. Like, let me see if I can't find it. He tweets so much. God,
What's his fucking platform?
that's
Gotta
all he
hype it
does
up.
anymore is tweet.
It's about a
It
third.
was something like 12 million people voted on it or something.
Jesus.
It was a huge sample set. So, and it was like 52.
What about election integrity?
That could have been hacked. I bet
He
Russia
could have. It's
hacked
his
it.
side. He could have put whatever he want there.
Hey, dude, look at this. This is something that Elon just tweeted.
I'm laughing. I'm probably laughing at the same thing because I just got on his.
This?
Yes. And I saw there was one earlier where he had like Lois looking like drugged out, and then he had Twitter. Like he's trying to tempt Trump into tweeting.
So funny.
Man, that's the one thing about this whole Twitter thing that interests me. It's like he is so treating this like a business and like a marketing thing. He is gonna fucking try to make money off of this damn platform. I think it's like he deserves some commending. Like, of course he wants Trump back. He's not gonna lie to himself. Everyone knows Trump pushed this whole media shit. How much money was made off of Trump, Orange Man Bad for 4 years, 5 years,
God.
really. And so he's like, fuck, I'm not about to miss out on the bag. Try to get this motherfucker back on here so he can piss more people off so they can come back to this damn platform. I got to give him fucking credit for his business sense, man.
I agree.
I have to. As much as it annoys me, everyone's guiding him up. I'm just not into human worship at all. But I am into giving people credit when they deserve it. And he deserves credit. I don't know if this experiment with Twitter is going to work. But for fuck's sake, he's talking about the Twitter servers.
Did you see that? So he did the poll at 15 million voters. That's a lot. That's a lot of people weighing in on that. And so then Trump came back. I thought that was pretty based.
Man, like I said, I'm enjoying. I have to say, I am enjoying the marketing. I mean, like this guy. Great. He's getting a billionaire because he's dumb, man. He knows the fuck he's doing. I don't know if this is going to work. It's a large experiment. But man, he's going to fuck around, probably make more money. He's probably going to make that $44 billion back in the next year.
We'll see. Yeah.
We'll see.
I know that it was losing money as a platform, like millions of dollars a day. It was just losing money.
Yeah.
And being propped up somehow for some reason. Couldn't imagine what that would be.
Yeah, we're not going to be conspiracy theorists. BlackRock.
Yeah. It's like, suspicious. This fucking outlet, this like fulcrum point for the national conversation. And all is coming from one angle.
I got stuff on my chest.
What?
I've been nothing. I just had something in my chest. World Economic Forum.
Yeah, has nothing to do with any of that. That's not suspicious at all. But I love it. I do love seeing all these like leftist kids like just reeing into oblivion. Yeah, and like them losing their jobs and no one gives. And it's like, all right, cool, fucking beat it. I just love that was taken from them. You know, they're in like this mean girl club, and they get to just we work for Twitter. You know,
they really. As much as I don't cherish Twitter, is there any group on earth that cherished Twitter over the past 5 years than leftists? This was their holy grail. Some of these people don't even believe in God. This was their God.
This was their
lost
God.
it.
They lost it. And
they
just
can still tweet.
They
didn't lose it like they don't exist.
No.
They can still tweet and they can.
No.
But now everything's like more even. So if no one really likes your ideas, you now know. Oh, I was propped up over 4 years. I'm not really that smart.
There's a subreddit on Reddit that's like socialism or something, you know. But like one of the rules in this subreddit is you cannot argue whether socialism is good or not. That's like one of the rules. You have to be like positive and like that's like why you're there. It's like because if you have to deal with the actual arguments, it's too contentious, it's too difficult. It's just like Twitter. It was just like, you know, when it was just you people just agreeing with each other and you could ban anyone who said hate speech, which was like, you know, I don't know if Trump's not like all that bad. And they're like, what? He's gone. It was like, you know, they loved it. But it's like now that it's actually open source and people can communicate however they actually genuinely feel, it's bye. Like they're just like, no, it isn't the leftist commie echo chamber anymore. And they're all Mercedes Marxists, all of them.
Mercedes Marxists.
They are. Man. They all like they have like cushy ass jobs. They make way too much for what they do, and they want to look down at all the peasants who, you know, don't have the right opinion. That they're 100% Mercedes Marxists, every one of them.
Yeah. And I'm looking. Apparently, some right winger got a little mad that he left it to a poll. Like, you would mention a
I
survey. I
know.
was like, you know what? Fuck you too, buddy. Let him. What he's doing is marketing his product, ma'am, and he's using his product. If they would have voted yet no, and they didn't let him on, that would have been smart to do too. He's trying to controversy creates cash. I applaud the way Elon's marketing this damn Twitter thing. I really do. I'm shocked he's gotten this thing to be a part of the conversation like he has. So he deserves some credit just from a marketing standpoint. So I don't know. I'm I'm not just an Elon Mark, just because. Lord knows I'm not. Not that I hate him. I don't have any issues with him. Just in case, future. But I think he deserves some credit. And so
I think he's doing a great job, and it's an interesting thing too. Like, I don't think people quite understand like the complexities of this. A lot of people want to see things like black and white. We were talking about it on the cocktail. Did you have something to say?
Yeah, and I don't know if I saw this on the cocktail lounge. I saw this somewhere where they were talking about G4. Was that on the cocktail lounge?
It wasn't. I don't think it was us.
Oh, was somebody? No, I was watching. I know who I was watching. I think I was watching Shady J. He was talking about one of his friends or somebody. Was it somebody he knew or somebody? No, it wasn't somebody he knew, but somebody had talked about in an interview. They applied to G4. We all know how the disaster that was, and I think that's a story that's been overblown. But when they applied to G4, it was something like one of the questions were, why are these groups oppressed, or why is something? Mm-hmm. So that's what I thought of when you said something about the socialist thing. It's like that in order to get that job, you had to agree with them politically.
Of course.
And they baked it into the interview process, which is not a surprise, obviously.
Dude, I told you, my mom, her friend, it was something like applying to be like a principal or like a superintendent or something like that. And that question was on the questionnaire. That's what she told me about a friend of hers.
Yeah,
I mean, I might be getting some of the details wrong, but that's what I remember. What she said was that like the woman was like, "What? Like, how do you acknowledge your privilege?" Like one of the questions. So it's baked in, 100% baked in. That's part. I mean, that's what they want. That's what they want. That's why That's why It's why it always comes with force. Socialism, communism, same way. It's always at gunpoint because you have to agree in order for them to implement what they want to implement. Disagreement is not part of their worldview.
Yeah. That's why so many people want free speech restricted. You know what I mean? And they were winning, for the longest. We'll see how this plays out. Again, I'm not guiding anyone else because I don't believe in man worship, but even a cold-hearted bastard like me, it says, you know what, Elon, you're doing good, mate. You're doing good.
You're doing good. But what I was going to bring up about the cocktail lounge, and there's something that I think people don't quite understand, like nuance. I don't think they don't quite understand complexity. So like people were also saying, I don't know if I can say his name because I don't want the algorithm to fuck you up. But
okay, worst case scenario, I'll edit it.
Okay, let's say, how do I the
island guy,
frogs gay guy?
Oh, yeah, AJ.
They were saying, why isn't he reinstated? And my point of on that is like, you do have to consider that optics is a real thing. I'm not saying I agree with people being censored. Obviously, that's not the case. But I do understand that if in the same week you do Trump and then you let AJ back and then, and Andrew Tate, like, do you know how easy it will be for them to frame you as a piece of shit? Like, I'm not saying you shouldn't do it, but I'm just saying, like, if you stretch it out over like a few months, then you do, once it's all so tumultuous. And I think it's like people are like, no, it's free speech. No. And it's like, dude, okay. It's not free speech on a public platform on a company. Like, it can't just be free. I don't want people just going on there dropping the M-bomb casually or like, talking about denying the Holocaust and stuff like that. You know what I mean? It's like, not that I don't want people to do it, but it's like, you have to understand that a company has to have some kind of rules.
Yeah. And, as much as I talked about Elon, one of the things that was brought up during the stream is how, that $8 thing, a lot of people bought Twitter, other people's Twitter's account that bought these corpo Twitter accounts and would say shit. You know what I mean? So that happened. Where like somebody got Nestle's official account. They're really not Nestle. And they say we
Oh yeah,
buy your
yeah, yeah.
water, we steal your water and sell it back to you, or somebody got some pharmacy account said all insulin is free from now on and shit like that. So there was some mayhem because of it. But I would say, man, it's simpler than that. Like the risk reward on an AJ is not, like you said, it's a little bit, it's too much too soon. You can wait out for him. And right now, just weeks after that trial, if you are going to reinstate him, you got to pick a better time to do it than right now. You know what I'm saying? In general, and even as wacky as Elon with his tweeting every 5 seconds, he's definitely doing this as a business. He's definitely thinking of marketing and optics and all this stuff. And that's why he even put the poll up for the Orange Man. You know what I mean? Because it's like, let me have a poll do it. So even if I do it in some heat, you might think it's crazy that I use the poll, but then you see, hey, there was a lot of population who wanted it. So, yeah, and it doesn't let himself off completely off the hook, but that's the reason he does shit like that. You know
I just think it makes it better because he's like, I'm not like implementing my own morality or my own worldview.
Mm-hmm.
This is a service, a platform for people to utilize, and the people on this platform said they want him back. Who am I to argue?
Yep. And that's what the marketing. This is a public square. Maybe in a few months he'll have a vote on AJ. We'll see. If he loses, he loses. That's how it goes. But he everything in moderation. And then guys like Andrew Tate, man, I'll be 1,000% honest. Before they canceled him, I didn't know who the fuck he was. I didn't know him from Adam. I had seen his stuff before, but didn't connect. It just was in one ear, out the other, whatever. Who was a bald guy I see sometimes. I think he did Fresh and Fit before. So I seen him or whatever, one of those podcasts he had done before he got canceled. He'd do it every now and again. So he's just one of those characters from that to me, and I didn't even watch that. And then he got canceled, and I see his shorts every single day and probably have for the past month or two. And there's so many of them because he was able to take getting canceled and make it marketable to where I think he's a mainstream guy. I don't think he's as controversial as he was just a couple months ago. I think he's a part of he's Jake Paul. Remember Jake Paul when they first came up, there was some controversy because him and Logan Paul, they would do the shocking shit. They went to like some forest in Japan where there was suicide. They did all this kind of edgy shit, and they were controversial. And then they became, these celebrity boxers, and they have a podcast. And now they're not. They're still kind of controversial, but they're kind of mainstream. I think Andrew Tate is in that same space where I don't think he's in the same space as an AJ or as a Trump or any of these guys. I think he's kind of transcended that to kind of become another internet personality and a little bit more mainstream than he was when he got canceled. Because I know I'm not the only person who's seen all this fucking content just spam every goddamn where.
Well, I understand that Hustler's You that he does.
Yeah.
Apparently, part of being a part of that is also retweeting his videos and stuff. So I think I'd seen him a little bit before he got canceled. I'd seen a bunch of videos of him show up on like Instagram or 9gag. Like I would see it, and it was just kind of like for the most part, it was just like kind of relatively based male stuff. It was just kind of the things that sort of help you, like just kind of was dispelling a lot of female bullshit.
Yeah.
A lot of feminist bullshit, female bullshit. Just kind of, it's also like a lot of it's over the top and kind of wacky. But for the most part, it was like, I didn't really find it to be that offensive. It was like even controversial in a way where I'm like, oop, they're not going to like this. Like, it was just kind of like, yeah, whatever's just a guy say. It's like, he's like a more aggressive, like testosteroned up Jordan Peterson.
Yeah. He's like Ric Flair plus Jordan Peterson.
Yeah. It wasn't really that wild. But then when he got canceled, I think it did blow up his...
it blew him up beyond belief.
Yeah, it blew up his star for sure. And now that he's back, I mean, maybe he'll be bigger than ever, maybe not. The thing is, it's like I don't personally need a guy like Andrew Tate. Like, I think it's fine that he exists. He should exist. But, like, I needed Peterson.
Yeah?
Needed that. He was the first guy that I saw really come out against like the woke shit and whatever woke was and all the ideologies and this, that, and the other. Because I knew there was something wrong, there was something rotten, but I couldn't put my finger on it. Like I couldn't encapsulate it. And when he went on Rogan and was talking about it, you're like, holy shit, this fucking guy. Like,
Yeah.
yes, you
I
know?
always thought Peterson was, because I always felt like I don't really need either of them. You know what I mean? I find Andrew Tate more of an entertaining character than I do. Not to say that some of the stuff he says isn't insightful or that he doesn't have, like you said, some insight. But I mean, he's more of a. I look at him as a personality more than a
Same.
some. You know, and with Jordan Peterson, I just never. That wasn't really the thing. That wasn't my fancy. I mean, it didn't hit. Clearly, it hit harder. He hit harder for a lot of people than he did me. I don't know what it was. It was just like, oh, okay, another guy. He's not wrong, but I guess I didn't feel the woke oppression like you may have felt in L.A. I was in Charlotte at the time. Was I in Charlotte or when I just moving? I was somewhere in the Carolinas at the time, so I was just chilling, and I didn't really feel. I mean, yeah, there's been this matriarchal feminism I've kind of soft way felt my entire life, but I didn't feel like so like, oh man, you can't say some of these things. I didn't feel any oppression based upon having an opinion. So Jordan Peterson didn't really hit for me. I get that he hit for a lot of people though, and I've talked about. That's why I even did the one podcast about it. There's definitely been such an attack on men over the past several generations, and whether or not Jordan Peterson or Andrew Tate or anybody else out there is either of our cup of tea, all these guys are needed for everyone. We need all hands on deck to get men back being men, man. We all hands on deck, whatever it takes. Like I said, the guy that I say I probably need is David Goggins. He's the guy that I'm like,
yeah,
he's the guy that hits with me because it's like, okay, I have to stop being a bitch.
Oh my God.
Stop being a hoe and just fucking do it.
Sorry.
No, go
I
ahead.
just wanted to, I was just browsing Twitter
Mm-hmm.
and Yee.
Yay.
Whatever.
Yeah.
His most recent tweet 5 hours ago, accompanied with a smiley face, he says shalom.
Yeah, I said that earlier. You
Did you?
Yeah. See, I said ironically, he's tweeted shalom.
Oh, I must have missed that. That's
Checked out.
fuck, dude. That is ballsy.
Well, what else was he? I mean, you gotta kind of. After you lose billions of dollars, I mean, now it's your gimmick, man. You're gonna not, you know what I mean? You always gotta roll with it.
That's a lot, though.
Yeah.
I think that's a tough look.
Wouldn't be me, man. Couldn't be me.
No.
I would just dip. I mean, I'm not gonna. I get, not one. I would just say, okay, what do I got? What do I hold? Just gonna go somewhere and just chill out. The rest of I don't need the shit. Just smoke weed and fuck bad bitches. I mean, like what? I'm not gonna do this anymore.
Oh, this is I'm looking at the chart. I don't know have you seen this?
No chart.
It's going around. I heard Danny Polishuk talk about it on the Boys Cast, and I didn't know what he was referring to. Now that I see it, it's a Who Controls Your Mind.
Ooh, shit.
And it's and it's got like a list of all these companies and who is on it and who's a Jewish fellow.
Oh boy.
However, when Danny was saying it, he's like, some of it wasn't even true. Like someone said Steve Jobs, and like Steve Jobs isn't a Jew.
Yeah.
And like Bezos isn't a Jew.
Yeah.
And it was like, a lot of the he said a lot of the information was inaccurate. And then also like people's names are like repeated like several times on here and stuff like that. I haven't scrutinized any of it. I don't know. No. But it's just, I'm like, oh, this is the thing I heard about.
Okay, so I literally am just now discovering this as you talk about it. I hadn't heard that. I thought it was going to be, when you say Who Controls Your Mind, some of the shit, like you've seen, like there's only 6 media companies and all the companies they own and shit like that.
Yeah, well, this is like more.
This is like that, but
Jew,
against the Jew. Yeah. Listen, I already know I'll be canceled in the future for something you said, and probably something I've said too. So I'm just operating with some sort of like, I don't know what disclaimer I'm trying to say in this little segment while we talk about this. But listen, man, I didn't do it, man. I didn't. This logo was made by a Jewish dude. My favorite producer is Jewish. Now I sound like the wig. Not trying to say all my friends
Yeah,
are
you
black.
do, man. You sound like one of those guys. I'm not racist. I have racist friends.
Yeah, I'm not trying to say that either. But I don't have no problem. I grew up in Southfield. I have no problem with you guys. We're just discussing shit that people are talking about. So, disclaimer: please don't cancel me. I haven't done anything yet. But yeah, man. As we've talked about, kind of a lot with this conspiracy stuff. A lot of stuff just gets passed around and not necessarily verified and tossed out there. So that's all I can say. I don't know. I'm sure there's some valid stuff. Some of the names were legit. Some of them weren't. Like you said, Steve Jobs and all that is not
this is just what I heard him say. Don't ask for me to be validating this or invalidating.
Yeah, blame Matt.
I'm not.
He's the straight white male. Therefore, the most.
That's true. Yeah,
oppressive.
I come with inherent privilege and
all that
being
privilege.
Wrong.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're approaching an hour already.
Oh shit!
Holy shit, that was fast.
Yeah.
Okay, then I have something fun, and then we can talk about Disney if we fucking feel like it.
Oh yeah,
I think both of us don't really care.
Yeah,
I'm just like, okay, whatever.
I mean,
I didn't care back then. I certainly don't care now.
I couldn't care less about the Disney thing. Shit, I didn't make a Black Panther review because of the culture war. I said, I'm not gonna. I thought maybe to do it as a short. Like, I should just do a short. But I'm like, what? I
think you should have done it.
Yeah, I mean, I was in the chat for Paulie talking about it, and you had to you had people who were of different races talking basic sense about the movie because it was a disaster. I just enjoyed eating popcorn and watching action scenes. What I'm saying, I'm a human being too.
I think that take is totally fine, and I always think the more controversial the take, probably the better for at least clicks.
Yeah. I mean,
and it's also like it's we kind of fight again. We don't want to live in an echo chamber. We don't want to just be like you. We all have the right opinion, right, guys?
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. That's why I love the chat. They're always busting our balls, but in a way that means that we're always getting challenged, and we always, have to be on our shit.
We're not going to be able to just sit and say like the baseline opinion or something like that. They'll fucking go after us, and I like that.
Yeah.
I like that about them. You know what I mean? Like, I just feel like I can't cheat, and I like it.
Yeah. So
I think that they're good. They're good for that. So I just think you should have done it because it was.
It was a hot topic, and I just felt it was like it's just more like because I just felt like this movie is just corporate mid, man. It's not. And apparently it's not doing well as far as the financials. And that was not.
This is the second weekend, right?
The second week, and had and it's not doing well compared to the first one at all. And they were talking about the shout out to. We used to be confused for each other back in the day when he was a smaller channel, but Valiant Renegade. He was breaking down the financials. He was talking about how the first one sold so many toys to black men and their sons, and now that there's no men in Wakanda. Which, hey, if there was no men in Wakanda, they couldn't fucking backstab us and make us look like shit in this one. So I was already, it's already taking a tank.
So yeah, it's pretty down. So I mean, it's still pretty good. The domestic opening was 181 million.
Yeah, I think they
and
made
this
60.
weekend it's 187 million or 188.
Okay.
So basically, but it's only had $100 million in a week. Like that's not. Like for a movie of this caliber, that is a real steady decline. However, internationally, it's doing really well, at least relative to like it's 258 million international, and the total box office 550. I mean, you can't argue that that's not a success.
That's still pretty successful.
Yeah,
but
in the second week,
that's still pretty successful. But you gotta remember, these Marvel movies were making crazy. They were making more.
No, none of them.
You know what I mean?
They don't crack $1 billion anymore.
Yeah, because it's that's 550 in the first few weeks. The next 4 weeks they may not make that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They'll probably get. They're on pace to probably get like 800 million, maybe 9, getting really close to $1 billion. Maybe they'll crack it.
Which is better than the original Black Panther.
No, I thought they got 1.1 or 2.
Let me see.
I know it.
I'm on Box Office Mojo. Oh yeah, I was just looking at domestic. Oh yeah, okay.
It's you got
almost 1.4.
Ooh, that's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot, almost 1.5 billion. That's a lot of money. Wow. So see, that's the thing. These things generate so much money. Some of those Avengers films, some of the Captain Americas, the Iron Man. Well, Iron Man, the
They're
first one
big.
doesn't age as well because of
$1 billion. Yeah, that's a lot.
yeah, yeah. And
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if they have another. Maybe the next Spider-Man. That'll probably be the last $1 billion film they have. I don't think these films are gonna. I think Marvel's over, man. I really do. I think it's
I do
it.
too. Yeah.
I
I
think
mean,
it's
it's
over.
certainly over for me because I don't care.
Yeah, and you know what? If I did a review and if I just say, oh, I got a minute, I'll do one. I was gonna say the Marvel universe. We're gonna look back and realize the whole fucking thing was mid at
You've
best.
always said that. I mean, yeah,
There were
they
good moments. No,
they
they're
were
great
fun
moments.
for what they were.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think we had. I just think it is what it is. Like it was probably pretty overblown. Oh, you know what I watched?
Yeah.
I haven't talked to you about this, but I know this is more up your alley. I watched on HBO Max the Flashpoint Paradox.
Yeah. The cartoon.
Have you seen that? Yeah.
Yeah, I saw it. I saw
Dude,
it.
that was sick.
Yeah.
That
The
was
alternate
so
universe Batman
good.
and alternate universe.
I loved it.
Yeah.
It was violent.
Hell yeah.
It was like gritty. It was harsh. And what I loved too was like the Flash, like even defeating the villain really wasn't the point. It was himself. It was the battle within himself that he had to win.
Yeah. He had to just, he has all this power, but he has to just accept things as they are. You know what I mean? Like he can't really change it.
And it was like alternate Flash, Thwayne or Thawne, what's his fucking name? Where he was
Flash.
like, I'm the bad guy? And he also, like, he even said it when he first robbed it. He was like, the museum to yourself, to your own ego.
Yeah.
Which I was like, shit, that was a good dig. That, like
you're a narcissist, bro. Like, rather you mean to be, know yourself to be, I know you think you're a hero, but like, you fucked up all of time for yourself.
For your own, just so that you could, your mom didn't have to die.
Yeah.
Look at this. The world's about to end. I'm the bad guy. I fucking loved it.
Yeah.
It was so mature, man.
Yeah, man. See, that's when DC in their animated movie, they have a few of those movies that are just as good in that same. Have you seen Dark Knight Returns?
I think I saw one
There's
of
two
them.
of them.
I don't remember. What's the plot?
The plot is Batman is in his 50s. And he's a little older. He still got some size on him. And Superman just works for the government. And part of it is because he didn't want to really go to war with the government. It's set in the 80s, an alternate version of the 80s.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And Batman's coming back and he's kicking ass and being a little bit more brutal. And
dude, I love Thomas Wayne as Batman.
Yeah.
That was great. First of all, he was hilarious.
Yeah.
He was so funny. He kind of reminded me of you. He's just like just so cynical.
He was so cynical. He was brutally cynical.
Brutal, but so funny. And just a great, and like just dual wielding, automatics.
Pistols,
It was awesome. It was so great.
Like Batman would be cool. Like I can't help but to think they were thinking like, how can okay, this no kill shit is bullshit. If Batman existed, let's be honest, man. He's murking. He's going to be a murking motherfucker. He's going to have a lot of bodies. If there was Batman existed, he's not just going to be I'll break your.
I'm not gonna kill you, but I don't have to save you either.
No,
these movies are so good, everybody.
I'm so complex and British.
Keep believing it. They're so good. Boo.
Golly.
Boo.
You really did show me the light on those movies.
Sorry, they suck.
You're not wrong, man. The dialogue.
They're stupid.
The dialogue is so dumb.
The plots are dumb.
I'll give Marvel this, man. As goofy, and some of the plots in the Marvel movies are dumb too. But if you really,
at least they make sense.
Yeah, if you compare them to the Dark Knight trilogy, it's no question which are more coherent. It's not even the Dark Knight.
They just keep throwing shit at you that you don't question. But if you even think about any of it for a second, you're like, bro, wait, how did he do that? How could he not possibly have made that work?
Even the second one, what was the Joker's plan? Is he the god genius of geniuses where he has every fucking thing that could potentially happen in the world calculated? How did this happen? How can he coordinate some of these things?
First thing that it's impossible. The first I saw Pitch Meeting pointed this out, and I was like, that is such a great point. It was like when they robbed the bank and then he drives out of the building in the bus line. Why would everyone just go along with that?
Right?
If you're
There's
just a bus driver and then a bus bursts out of a building, you have to at least, it's a bus, right? So there's got to be
yeah.
kids on there. Like, did that guy just burst through a fucking wall? Hey, dispatch.
Yeah,
You know
there's
what I
one
mean?
of
What
our
did I
buses
just
a road.
see?
What happened to doesn't somebody know the bus number? Wait a second, where's Johnny? He's not in, he can't be in that motherfucker.
And
What happened?
everybody's just like, well, he's a bus. He's in the bus line. I
No
don't care
one
where it
calls the
came from.
police. I get Gotham PD sucks, but no one calls the police to say, hey, we know the route. Could you cut us off at this route and see what's going on with XY bus?
Yeah, could you
Please.
imagine just being in like not even a bus, just a guy, and then like some car bursts out of the wall of a Walgreens and then just gets in traffic and you're just like, well, it's another Wednesday. Like what?
Yeah, I get it. Gotham's crazy, but no city on earth is that crazy.
So
Even in the
stupid.
middle of LA, as crazy it is, Skid Row, if that shit happens, someone's going to at least alert police, right?
You're gonna notice.
Yes.
It was like no one even noticed.
no one reacted to it.
No.
No one.
Oh, so dumb. There's just so many things that just don't make any sense, and it's like I don't know. Heath Ledger's performance was amazing.
Yep.
It looked cool. The sound was incredible.
Mm-hmm.
But there's
Shots
so
were
many
cool.
things that are just flat out dumb. Doesn't make sense. Could have happened that way unless he was a god.
Yes. The writing doesn't make sense. Another thing, I know we're not trying to do that wasn't how we were supposed to end the
I
show.
know.
but
It's like our thing is to trash the Dark Knight.
But and I still love these movies for other reasons because they don't hold up to logic. But I still,
Not even kinda.
they're not even kinda. And no one ever explained this. I thought this in theaters. So Bruce Wayne has this party, right? And he has Harvey Dent, and he has all these people, all these hobnob rich motherfuckers, and the Joker crashes the party, right? So he says, you know what? He does something logical. He hides Harvey Dent. He gets into his little shit, his little safe room, and I'm sure there's alternate pathways. Cool. He comes out as Batman. He beats this guy's ass. First, he somehow survives a 1,000-foot fall to save his
With
bitch.
no shooting out ropes to stop him or something. He just falls on a car.
And they're just
like, what?
You okay?
How does momentum work in this universe?
He has storyline ways of preventing this. Like he has a rope that he used out the whole fucking trilogy. Just use the fucking grappling hook so he can save himself. And then get back up to the guy. You think Joker's not gonna? You know what? Where the fuck is Harvey Dent? Let's start looking at some of these closets. He couldn't find him in the closet that was right next to the goddamn hall.
They don't establish. By the way, as I remember, they just cut after that.
Yes,
they
cut.
don't even go back. Like, what did Joker leave? Was he like, all right, bye everybody? Like, how did that end? We don't know.
No way. That made no sense. That pissed me off in theater. It's like, who wrote this shit? You just
the thing that pissed me off. The thing that pissed me off in theater was in the Batman Begins was the one that really bugged me. Was when it's like the crazy thing, the crazy drug is in the water or whatever.
Yeah.
And they're driving this microwave thing that's like activating the water. Mm-hmm. Well, they never established how they unactivated it.
Right?
What happened he didn't get to the core of the water system, but he got to a bunch of it.
Yeah.
And all people were going crazy. We saw the city was going crazy, and they never ever addressed how they uncrazied it. They're just like, no, Batman stopped them. It's like, okay,
millions of people have been affected. This is Manhattan, right? And he went through like the most populated city on earth, at least 1 million people.
Even if it's 10%, it's 100,000. If it was Manhattan, 8 million people, you're talking about 800,000 people are crazy now forever. How could you tell the difference, right?
It's just Gotham.
Woo, woo. No, but it was just so dumb. Those movies are dumb.
That's one of those things where I think
Stubbs, come in.
Your fandom and your lore fills it in. Because if you know about Gotham as a city, you say, oh yeah, anything can happen. Any wacky, crazy, disturbing thing can happen to Gotham. But if you look at what is being established and what is put on screen, they're not tidying this story up. They're just having shit happen. They're not paying it off. They're just ignoring it and they're just going to the next thing. And my God, the Joker's plan. How does he get himself caught? And then that chase scene, as cool as the chase scene was, and then he gets Batman to go to the two things, and his girl dies. That him and Harvey Dent's fucking, but he's just a simp, and Harvey Dent's face explode. How did Joker plan that out based upon the knowledge he must have had at the time he planned it out?
How did he know what Batman was going to do?
Exactly. How did he know? How?
I don't know. It's just those movies.
It just seems good. But go ahead.
I did want to pivot because I wanted to. Love that word, pivot. Because I wanted to get to something that was actually super. This is funny. This is completely unrelated to anything we've been talking about all night, but it's super funny. I saw it. So there's a podcast called the Legion of Skanks. You know who that is? You ever heard of them?
I feel like I've heard of it, but I don't know exactly who it is.
Louis J. Gomez is the ringleader. Also with Big J. Okerson and a guy named. You probably know Dave Smith.
Dave Smith.
I'm surprised you don't know him because he's a libertarian comedian.
Okay.
He's very great points. You should check out some Dave Smith podcasts. He's a very smart guy. I think he was on Boys Cast this week, actually. It's a good entry for you. Really interesting stuff. Just smart-based motherfucker. I don't think he has all the answers, but I do think he's a good voice for a lot of this government shit.
You don't have the answers, man. Go ahead.
So Louis J. Gomez, the Puerto Rican rattlesnake. He was. That's his name. That's what they call it. That's his nickname. Don't moan. Don't groan. I heard that.
I didn't groan.
You kind of.
I thought less of you, but
yeah,
I mean,
that's his nickname. He's the Puerto Rican rattlesnake. That's what he calls himself,
Right.
Louis J. Gomez. And so he
Still
he
judging
did this. Yeah, I know. He did this documentary, this comedy documentary for like Fox News or Fox Business or something like that. Like some reporter asked him to do it, and like he said, at first he was skeptical, but then when he heard like Jim Norton and these other people did it, he's like, okay, cool. Like I'll join. That sounds great. And so he did it, and then the reporter asked him if she sent him a link to, I think, Chappelle's like SNL thing, and for some reason, whatever, Lewis missed that, and he just saw the next text, and the next text asked, "Can you give me Dave's number?" and to talk to him, and he was like, "Oh yeah, of course, like I bet Dave would probably really do it." If if you just probably come to Jersey and make it easier for him, he'll probably do your documentary. She thought he meant Dave Chappelle. He thought she meant Dave Smith.
Oh, okay.
So he gives her Dave Smith's number.
Oh shit.
And then like is going through it, and like Dave Smith is like reading this text that he got from her, and he's like, "What?" Like she's like, you've done so much in comedy. Somehow you're on top of all these things.
Man.
Like, how do you do it? And he's like his ego is like, oh, totally, yeah, I am that good. But he's like, in practicality, he's like, this isn't who I am. Like, what is going on here?
Yeah.
Then he puts it together, and they put it together on the podcast. Now, the whole video that's on YouTube is like 30 minutes long. What I'm obviously not going to play a 30-minute video for everybody. But what ends up happening is during the show,
go watch their content. By the way, we're not trying to steal off. Go ahead.
Huh?
I just said, go watch their content as well. Go on
please.
YouTube, check them out.
I'm promoting the show right now. This is all promotion. Yeah. If you have a problem with Louis J, come fucking talk to me. I know you do MMA.
Ooh,
I will fight you. We will do it. Culture Crime Fighters versus the Legion of Skanks. We will get in the fucking octagon.
Absolutely. I want to. Man, that's what all the other YouTubers are doing. I want a YouTube.
I'll do
MMA
it.
fight.
I saw you play terrible basketball against Shane Gillis and Matt McCusker. I will.
Oh shit, 2-on-2 basketball. If you're too pussy to get in the octagon with us, Fuck.
No, actually, he's probably way less pussy to fight. He fought. He's fought. What's that dude? That wild Australian YouTuber broadcaster. I can't think of his fucking name, but anyway, he's had actually a few MMA fights. Louis J.
I would love to get in the celebrity
I'll fuck him
MMA
up, though.
thing, though. I would love the money and the. How much? Quick tangent. How much you need to take to get an ass whooping?
From who?
From somebody on that level. I'm not saying you're going
a real fighter.
Somebody.
A real MMA fighter.
Yeah. What's it take? We were doing
$10,000.
Oh, see, that's a low. Yeah, we can get that. I'm thinking of like YouTube celebrity, like MMA. Like, yeah, they probably are at a high level. Just a dude.
I'll fight a dude.
Yeah.
But a professional athlete who knows how to fucking throw a kick on my chin that'll put me out. No, I'm gonna need big money for that because I'm not gonna win. I don't even know if I'll last a round. You know what I mean? No, I'd need to be well compensated.
Yeah. Oh yeah, me too.
$15,000. Yeah.
I was thinking 100, man. I was thinking I was six figure.
But I'm saying, if someone opened up a briefcase with $10,000 and like go fight that guy, I'd probably do it.
Yeah. 10 racks, just because like shit, that's a lot of money right now. But I'm thinking of
That's
these
a lot.
celebrity
That would be
podcasters
great.
and everyone's doing that shit. The celebrity MMA, celebrity boxing.
Dude,
We're
Louis
not
J does that.
celebrities.
Louis J does that. He what the hell is that guy's name? Not Jason Alexander. Sean something.
I just would love to be on that level.
Damn it. I need to look it up.
Do it. I think that's I know that I was just watching these boxing guys and they're so pissed at these YouTubers and they got every right to be. I'm not. They're legitimate.
Jason Ellis. Ellis. That's his name. Sorry, but he's like Louis J straight up had fights. So
yeah, I would absolutely cheapen the sport of boxing or MMA for a big check as a YouTuber. I would fight in mass.
I'd do it for the clicks.
Yeah, for the clicks. I would fight in mass, therefore making it harder for me to see, making it more likely to get my fat ass put to sleep. But for the
but for like a big, I would do it for like a big thing. Yeah,
these guys are getting big money. Like, it's 500 racks plus a little piece of the pay per view. Yes,
I mean, real thing. Yeah, of course.
Yes,
but
please.
like, you have to really fight though. It can't just be like a stunt. You have to
I'll
go 8 rounds. You ever gone 3 rounds?
No, I'll give it the college try. Even if I
insane.
get gassed and clipped. That type of money.
That'd be fun. Anyway,
yeah,
the story. Yeah. So she thinks she's texting with Dave Chappelle. She's actually texting with Dave Smith, and Dave Smith didn't bring it up, didn't message back to her with, "Oh, hey, I think you got the wrong guy." Just left it. And so then when they're on the live Leigon Of Skanks show, they're all talking about it, and they're like, "You know who does an amazing Chappelle impersonation is this comedian Dan Soder." Mm-hmm. So what they had happen was they called Soder and had him call her as Chappelle and then pranked that reporter.
Oh, man, that poor reporter.
Do you want to hear some of the audio?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
That was a great setup for what? Oh, this poor reporter.
Hello?
Hi, how you doing?
Hey, I'm good. I'm on a train, so apologies. Can you hear me?
Oh, it's quite all right. I'm outside. I just wanted to call you real quick because I know I only have about 4 minutes.
That's okay. I have like 1% battery.
I wanted to get in quick and talk to you about Louis J. Gomez. Easily one of the funniest people I've ever met in my life.
Yeah.
Dude, first of all, how good is his Chappelle?
Right? I'm like, oh man, this poor person. I would believe it, especially you're listening on the phone.
He sounds like Chappelle.
He sounds exactly like Chappelle. He has the mannerisms and the vocal like nuances. Impersonation seemed like the hardest shit on earth to do to me. And like he really does sound like Chappelle. I'm on the phone thinking
just like him.
And I also can hear how excited this reporter is. Like she definitely is like, I'm fucking talking to Dave Chappelle right now. And that's why I'm like, oh my God, she doesn't know she's not talking to Dave Chappelle, but I do. That's, oh my God.
Something else that's important to mention is that Louis J. in the text exchange with the girl, Louis J. is the guy in the middle.
Yeah.
This is Louis J. Gomez. He said that Dave is the closest thing he has to a brother in this world.
Man.
Which might be true about Dave Smith.
Yeah.
I don't even know if Louis J.'s even ever met Dave Chappelle, let alone being considered a brother. And you would think, so that's the context of Soder, talking up Louis J. and all this shit. Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
I mean, that man is very important to me. He is like a brother.
Oh,
Yes.
man.
I've been with him through thick and thin. We have established a connection that is a bond that is unbreakable.
Yes.
I would honestly say I'd take a bullet for Louis J.
I know, he was incredible. I mean, I met him at Gas Digital, and he was so influential.
Gas Digital is crazy how hard I've seen him work on it. And how
Gas Digital is his podcast network.
Oh, man.
The one problem is the website. I keep telling him, I say, Lewis, you gotta fix the website.
It's all inside
Yeah, I know.
jokes.
I've been on the site because I was obviously doing research prior to it. I mean, it's good. I mean, he's just like incredible. I didn't even know much about him until I started working on this, and I was looking.
I'm going to tell you right now, I've seen a lot of this stuff in comedy, and Lewis is easily. A lot of people
God,
call him
he
a
sounds just like
Puerto Rican
him.
rattlesnake. I would say he is a Puerto Rican giant. He's a giant man. I've seen him bed hundreds of women. I've seen him strong comedy festivals that are so legendary that people got diseases. This man has done more for comedy than anybody in the world. And his son
That she would think this is coming from Chappelle. Like, wow, he didn't seem that interesting when I met him, but like if Chappelle thinks this about him, he must be a big guy.
It's almost as it was funny. He's not just impersonating like Chappelle's like man. He's kind of almost impersonating his humor and his delivery for humor as well.
His like that casual kind of like Southern way he has about talking. It is so funny, and this girl is on. She believes it. She's not questioning it even kinda.
But I mean, he's so convincing. If this was you probably wouldn't even
100%.
You probably like,
I'm a huge fan of Foul Ball Productions. Wow, Chappelle likes my channel? Holy shit. He must be a fan of Gary or something. How did he find
I've been
me?
watching you and the fat one, and you guys do good work.
Oh, shit, I pulled out my headphones.
You don't ever pull out.
I never do.
No, golly, this is a masterful impression, man.
So funny. God, so
Oh,
funny.
man. And everyone's reaction, because you can feel that energy. Like, I can feel the energy of the room through it, because I'm going through it, too, because it's like, I would absolutely think I was talking to Dave Chappelle.
100%. And earlier in this, they were trying to get another comedian who also does a Chappelle, and he did a terrible job.
Yeah.
But then as soon as Soder did his Chappelle, and you couldn't see him, you're like, oh my God, that's Chappelle. Like, you heard it, and you're like, I can't see Soder right now. I would think that was Chappelle if I was on the other end of a phone. Like, there was no debate. Like, you're like, that is an amazing impression.
Yeah. The only thing I can compare it to is, I don't know if you ever see like Godfrey doing Steve Harvey.
I have not. I saw Ari Spears do Jay-Z.
Yeah, he used to do Jay-Z.
He does a great Jay-Z. He also does a great Obama.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can't find just a clip of Dan Soder doing Chappelle. That's just separate. So you can see the guy's face. And yeah, this is a clip from, I think, from You Know What, Dude, which is Bob Kelly's podcast. Bob Kelly's a comic from Boston, lives in New York now. Been on Opie and Anthony a million times. He's a funny fucking guy. And that's Soder right here. That's Dan Soder. This
Caucasian. He's culturally appropriating.
Culturally appropriating Chappelle's entire existence.
Yeah, man.
And that's Louis J on the right.
All right.
Hey guys! Hey, it's me, regular voice Dan. What's going on?
Dan's had to clear his throat.
Hey everybody! Wow! Oh wow! I don't need the affection of strangers.
If you're on this earth and you feel like God gave you the wrong parts, well, you can go to Trinidad, Colorado. We're up there.
Does he not do? I thought it said. I googled. It said Chappelle. Oh well. Anyway, that's who Soder is.
Okay. So
I don't
want to
just watch all.
guy.
Yeah, he's a genuinely funny, just good comic. He's Soder's funny. Soder's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, a little bit more of this Chappelle thing.
Yeah, man. This is incredible.
James, if he doesn't eat, Lewis will rip someone's head off.
Well, I love that. I mean, he was incredibly kind, too, which was another thing.
Her going along with it is the best part.
Oh, man.
Oh, the sweetest man. I have him in my phone as Louis the Peach because he's a true peach.
Yeah, he was very generous. I mean, he let us into his entire studio.
She has to pretend this is all normal.
He was just incredibly generous.
What's incredible is that he actually campaigned for Joe Biden, which I find very. A lot of people don't know that.
Oh, that's
A lot of people don't. Yeah, Louis is very liberal.
He sounds just like
Dangerously liberal.
Yeah, I actually know. You know what I like about that though, because first of all, it's good to get people that aren't just super conservative, especially working for someone like Tucker, because then it gets the message out even stronger.
Tucker has my number.
He told me that he doesn't even believe in science when it comes to sex. He says that's how liberal he is. He believes we're all just a mishmash, different bag of body parts.
Oh God, that's funny.
Oh, he started cracking.
It's insane. I'm telling you right now.
Wait,
it's
what'd you
almost
say?
like he's sick in the
When he said body parts, it cracked a little bit to me.
a little bit, but she didn't.
She didn't notice it.
catch
She's
that
like,
for
no.
even an instant.
No.
She's like, "Oh, that's funny." Like she's just got the biggest comedian in the world on the phone and is milking this and this whole interaction.
Yeah. She's just a mark. She has no idea what she's
No idea. So I mean, spoiler alert. Apparently, afterwards, she found out and she was cool with it.
Yeah.
She thought, "Oh, that's funny." Like she wasn't a cunt about it or whatever.
I was wondering if he let her know on the call. I'm like,
He does not. No,
He doesn't.
The whole call. He stays in character. It's great. I don't know if we can play the whole call, but it's just so funny.
Yeah.
head, but he's a good man. Again, Louis the Peach.
Yeah, no, I loved him, and he, obviously said the same about you when I mentioned, and I know, Dave, I mean, obviously you get 1,000 million
about him and he won't let her.
the guy in comedy, and your SNL monologue, by the way, was, I mean, the fact that, obviously, you're a genius at your comedy, but the fact that you have the courage.
I don't even, honestly, the second Louis reached out, I said, I have to talk to him. I have to talk to anybody who's friends with Louis because I love him like a brother. His MMA training reminds me of Rocky and Rocky IV. He's just always, and what's great about Louis is he can get so fat and then he can get so muscular.
Oh, he was in really good shape. We went there. He was in great shape.
Yeah, he fluctuates. That's why I'm worried about Louis.
So it goes on like this for a while, but let me see if I can't find like the ending because it is just so funny.
Our entire premise of the documentary. It was about
Man, it stands up for people. You get
always follow, the funny, really.
likely decline.
Well, it would be like
I'll think about it, and I'll let you know. I'll think about Louis a little bit more, too, but I gotta go. And we'll talk soon. Absolutely. Goodbye.
Thank you so much.
He never broke
Crazy.
character the whole time. Is that not the
Crazy.
greatest?
Yeah, man.
How fucking great is that? That's so funny.
Crazy.
Because they
man.
didn't. What was really cool about this clip is they didn't have that idea going into it. Dave just brought it to the show as like, isn't that funny how she thinks I'm Chappelle?
Yeah.
And then they go through like Lewis's text, and you're like, "Oh, what an idiot you are, Lewis, for letting her believe this."
Yeah.
But then they had on the spot this genius moment to have Soder pretend he was Chappelle on the phone to this Fox News reporter.
It's a live show.
Yeah,
They do this live?
I don't know if it's live. It's like live in front of that audience. I don't think it's
Okay.
live like on YouTube Live.
Okay.
Like I think they pre-record, but they pre-record like
They
with all these people.
pre-record with an audience.
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool.
But it's like live in the sense that
Smooth.
he just brought that.
They just
and then
did it impromptu on the show. Sort of
The
thing.
spitballing came up with the idea to do it, and they weren't even sure they could get Soder. Like he's a friend of theirs of theirs. He's on the show all the time. But the idea
Yeah.
like, to
Just do it
all-
impromptu, like he might be busy or something like that. Yeah.
one of the funniest. That's like one of the funniest things that's happened like recently, like in life.
Yeah.
Oh, it's great. She thinks, and she's just like yes-anding everything he's saying, not noticing. Like, he's talking about Louis J a lot. It's like weird. Up until this point with Chappelle's career, you've never heard him mention this guy.
Right.
He's notorious for bringing his friends and all his projects. Somehow, this guy who's a brother to him, he wasn't in Chappelle's show. He wasn't on the SNL show. Nothing. You've never seen them in pictures together. But suddenly,
He's like a brother.
brothers.
He's like, yeah.
Oh God, I was listening to that this morning, and that was like the best thing I've heard in a long time.
Great, man. That was
Yeah.
great, man. I can't do impressions like that. I can never do an
No,
impression like that.
I
That's
can't.
incredible, man.
I can't
Incredible.
do impressions either. But it's
Uh,
cool when people can.
yeah. Real quick, I feel like in interest of the origins of the culture crime fighters, we kind of have to talk about Disney, don't we? You got to
All
go
right.
every now and again. You got to go back to your roots.
Yeah, I
Got to
guess
go
so.
back to where you started.
I don't even think the audience cares anymore. Like
I
I've
know.
talked to other YouTubers. I don't want to. I don't want to out anybody, but I've
Yeah.
talked to other
No one
YouTubers,
cares.
some that are prominent, and they're telling me that when they're on these shows with these big panels and all this stuff, they're rolling their fucking eyes about the topics. They
So
just
they
don't
feel
care.
like how we feel.
Mm-hmm.
I knew. See, I knew we. Sometimes, man, I feel like we're on the zeitgeist of shit, whether we know it or not, man.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a huge, and that's why this is still an important backdrop to bring up. There's a huge, like, fatigue with this shit because one, we just talked about Elon. It's like, okay, some of the cultural front, we're not taking L's every week anymore. And I'm saying it's a we, not saying it's an echo chamber, because Lord knows it's a damn echo chamber. But you're not seeing people who are not leftists being treated like they were just a year ago. You do see it some places, you do see it sometime, but not as widespread all the time, every day, as it was a year ago, 2 years ago, going back. And everybody knows this is shitty. Everybody knows the agenda. Not everybody. It's still, like I said, millions of normies. But it's
Not. Yeah, it's not even close to everybody.
yeah, because there's still people who've never heard the term woke. So I gotta that normie populace exists. But there are millions of people who now know there's an agenda. There's people who in all sorts of spectrum. I can't go on a boxing channel without somebody wondering, is the next movie going to be woke? And I'm not joking. You know what I mean? It's permeated other spheres to where it's not, when the fucking Last
It's
Jedi
not
came
as
out,
novel, unfortunately.
yeah, it was novel.
You know?
It was like, what? Are you serious? Now we're years into it. Everybody has seen it. I remember another boxing channel I wasn't even one I was thinking of, got really crazy about. They didn't get crazy, but they were disappointed in the Terminator Dark Fate when they came out, because they were excited because I like Terminator, and they said, yeah, I knew there was going to be some woman stuff, but not like this. And it was just like, so it's been a part of it's been common knowledge amongst a significant portion of the population, not most people, for a long enough time. It doesn't have the same novelty. It is an exhausting state. We're saying the same things over and over and over again, talking about the same subjects over and over and over again. And when it comes to Bob Iger and Bob Chapek, if you do know the quote unquote backstory, Bob Chapek never really was in charge in the first place. He was allegedly made the CEO 2 or 3 years ago, but then they were co-CEO for part of it because of the pandemic. And Bob Chapek hasn't even been public as a decision maker except for this year, basically. And now
I
he's
don't
already
even.
out.
I mean, I don't.
And like you said,
if you
who can
told
even take
me,
that interest?
if you told me Bob Iger was the guy who's been the past 3 years, but Bob Chapek the whole time, it was the guy who's, you know what I mean?
Yeah, if
I
it was
wouldn't
the
know
other way
the
around, you
goddamn
wouldn't know or
difference.
care.
I wouldn't even know. I've heard both these names. I have no context of who was in charge and who did what.
Yeah, a lot. I happen to know the story, but I've gotten them confused a bunch of times, man. Because they're both named Bob. They both own or run CEO of Disney. They both have been in the news sometimes, and both of they just, who cares, man? Disney's gonna keep doing what Disney does. This isn't really shocking. It may be shocking to insiders, I guess. You know what I'm saying? Because there wasn't any talk about it. But like, I'm not shocked. You know what I'm saying? This is just another day in Hollywood, so to speak.
Yeah, I don't know. Okay, it's so Disney shakeup. Bob Iger back as CEO. Bob Chapek out. Board cites complex industry transformation for shocking C-suite shuffle. Okay. Bob Iger has replaced Bob Chapek as Disney CEO, a shocking turn of events for the world's largest media company that has been in turmoil ever since Iger stepped down as CEO in February 2020. The shakeup do you mean, like, I'm reading this, I'm like, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care.
I mean, if there is any takeaway, if you're still rooting against Disney, which you should, I'm not saying you should, but I understand. Um, it's probably a sign that there's a little trouble in paradise over there. That they are making a shift. Like you said, it doesn't matter which way they're making it, but just the idea, you don't fire your coach on a winning team, sort of thing. So there's that. Otherwise, I think the more interesting take is the fatigue. It's the fact that people don't care, and the fact that, man, when I'm critical of the fandom, I'm not critical because I hate everybody. I still have a large affection for a lot of people. I'm critical because I'm trying to like be the bellwether, try to let you guys know, like, okay, some of these takes look bad because of optics. Some of these takes are irrelevant. None of you care about the fucking Little Mermaid. Like, why? Who cares? None of us care. And a lot of, you know what? None of you care. A lot of us don't care about a lot of these other topics. A lot of us.
Well, I will say though, it's like I don't care about the Little Mermaid, but it's indicative of a doctrine.
Yes, but you gotta know, like, people who aren't. Again, most people don't know this is going on. I'm not trying to talk off both sides of my ass because I know there's a lot of people who do know this is going on. But to Joe Normie, I'm thinking of the corporate schlock workers I've worked with a good portion of my life. They're going to see it and say, huh? Because they're not going to have the context of the agenda. And so they're going to look at you and like, you're yelling at a like 15-year-old girl because she's black and a Little Mermaid. That's all they're going to pick up on.
Right.
And you're going to look crazy. You know what I'm saying?
Can't argue with that.
And you have to understand that when that's why it's almost better to say, you know what, I don't care about the Little Mermaid. I'm not even going to pick the battle. Don't even pick it. Pick the ones you can pick. You know, pick the ones that are worth the damn. You're not going to win. You're not going to be able to explain it to a normie parent. Like, you know what I'm saying? The people that send their kids to public schools and think they're going to learn something. The people that just go along to get along, when they see you, you're never going to make sense to them. And you got to at least, it's easier to point out the easier things to point out. It's easier to look at The Last Jedi and see the purple lady who didn't have a plan that made sense, just yell and berate the guy to the point he created a mutiny and say, okay, this was stupid. You know what I'm saying? You can point that out to someone because they watched it, or that these movies are bad. You can point that stuff out. You can point out the good and bad. But when you make culture war, when you take, hey, there's a culture war, therefore I'm going to fight every single battle on it. One, you fatigue yourself, and two, you end up in battles that even if you're intellectually correct, you're not going to look good to the people who are neither leftist nor anti-leftist, Republican, conservative. To the neutrals, you're going to look foolish. It's like, don't argue with idiots. They'll drag you to their level and beat you with experience. And I think sometimes, in addition to being fatigued, I find that a lot of people, they want to own the libs so bad that they don't realize how bad they look to the central. That's why I've kind of challenged things along those lines. I'm not trying to be a radical leftist. I'm not joining Antifa. I'm just trying to say, hey, to other people, you don't look like the good guys. So that's kind of my statement on that.
Well, yeah, I think that's valid. I think there's something to that. I think there's something to, like, also whatever the fuck ever. You know what I mean?
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Eat a dick. I'm being accurate. Like, what I'm putting out here is valid. Like, you can get offended by it or upset by it or whatever, but like that doesn't change the fact of this is happening or this is real. Like, I guess it's I think what they're doing is important. I think it definitely serves a function, and it's bigger than ever, and I think it's like, you're not going to get everybody, which is a fool's errand to try.
True.
But I think they're getting more people than ever. These channels are bigger than they've ever been, and more people who like. I think it's also like an intellectual. It's like a risk. People don't want to make that leap. They don't want to. They don't want to think of themselves as like a conservative or like a right winger. So that, you know what I mean? They don't want to throw themselves out of the community of people that they're safe with and are their friends and all that shit. You know what I mean? So it's like it's difficult for them to even have the thought that maybe this is connected. Maybe this is some kind of thing. Maybe they're, it's like it's a risk for them. So I think these guys constantly putting it out there, gives people the opportunity to see someone who's smart, passionate, focused, knowledgeable, and is saying it without any kind of fear or filter, that gives them new people a chance to be like, oh, is that what's going on? Is that why it's all shit?
I understand that take too, and that's why I don't want people to stop doing it. That's why I'm just trying to say, like, there are cases where it's just like, I don't think one person got converted over to Little Mermaid in that specific case. Maybe I'm wrong, and even
There was
to the
so
growth,
much great meme stuff though.
there was some meme stuff.
There was
And hey,
that. Did you ever see the little black girl who was watching and she's like, Ariel's white? Like, she got all upset.
Yeah.
It's just like, that's awesome. Like, you know what I mean? Just how invaluable is that?
Well, because I mean, people. Listen, I'm sick of the agenda and shit. Ariel is some Marine Kingdom Wiccan demon. I don't want that associated with my people, anyways. Plus fucking The Little Mermaid. Is there a worse Disney movie than that? That movie is literally about a young girl throwing every element of her life away for some dick. That is the worst movie that Disney really. You talking about the cultural zeitgeist of the Disney princess programming? Little Mermaid may be number one. Fuck Little Mermaid. I don't want that associated with us. Shit, please take it back. Please.
That's a funny take.
Yeah, fuck that.
I mean, but it's much more, it's much more about the representation thing. Like, the absence of someone's race automatically means oppression.
He was absent from this shit. Y'all always try to put us on some bullshit. Fuck that. Can I have something original, please? Please.
It's not the agenda, man. That's those two things are separate. Black people actually being accurately represented and, the reshaping the world in their image are different things.
Yeah. And listen, Lord knows I'm not about to, as much as I'll joke about, isn't that a conspiracy? I'm a conspiracy theory. I definitely think they're societal engineering. I know they're using entertainment to societal engineers, and all this bullshit, it does need to be called out. You know what I'm saying? I want it to work. I want people to I want this to be valid, because as much as you say, yes, there's people who don't want to be challenged and don't want to leave their peer group. And yes, the natural shift of the normie peer group is a lot more left than it's been probably in our entire lifetimes, especially radical leftists. There's still that normie base that get weirded out when they hear anything. I still don't think my mom understands what cisgender means. You know what I'm saying? She just you just couldn't get around the concept that, and I'm not trying to be funny when I use the term normal. This is what most people would say, that normal people needed a classification. That part could not compute for logical reasons, because it doesn't make sense. So, and I'm sorry if that's controversial and whatever. And it goes back to your point where it's like, sometimes you do just got to say it, right? You just got to say what has to be said, even if people get their feelings hurt. I understand that point too. I guess everything in balance. It's trying to find that balance, and it's trying to find not just the balance of how you present stuff so you can get the most amount of people, not water the shit down, but just that you can onboard people who may not understand what's going on, but also balance how much of this shit you can cover as a creator and still be engaged in it, because it does become a fucking malaise. I just can't
say the same thing anymore.
Yeah, you can't keep saying the same thing over and over and over again. Even if the situation's different, it's the same story.
It's just boring. It's just fucking boring.
This story probably is one of the more relevant stories when you really think about it. The fact that Disney is making, that was once this staunch front, is starting to shake things up. It means that there's something going on, at least financially, that they don't like. That's what I would think. So they're actually that's
maybe
where the
it
relevant
means that,
thing.
and maybe it means something else. Who fucking knows?
Yeah.
Could mean anything.
Yeah.
I don't know what it means, and I'm just like, all right, whatever. I don't. Like I said, I just don't care that much. It's like people are going to cover it and talk about it and speculate on it. They probably know more than me, and they'll probably have better insight and better practical information. For myself, I just can't give a shit enough to get upset about it or talk about it. Like,
get engaged in. Yeah, it's just part of the ways.
And I also just see like as much as I think it's important to talk about, important to point out. I see all these other creators that are just talking about whatever, man.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're not pigeonholed
That's
into
what.
just having this conversation, and it's for me,
Yes.
it's just like I just don't find it that fun anymore. Like I
I
like
don't
doing it
find
in
it
the
that
beginning.
engaging or even. I mean, it's relevant, but it's like there's so much other stuff. There's so many other things to talk about. That's why I like the way this show is going, man. This show that we're doing, and like I thought last week was our best fucking episode. I really mean that. I'm like, yeah, this is because you know what? I joked about being canceled. I felt like we never discussed this, and we do discuss it off air. At some point, O&A became our accidental true north. It was, and I don't know if that, and I wanted to be Patrice O'Neal, and I'm not fucking Patrice O'Neal. I can't hold a candle to him. I'm not even going to be anywhere close. And I'm starting to feel like, you know what, Rogan is probably the best true north for all podcasts. He is the true north for all podcasts for a reason, and the reason is he always has things that are interesting and engaging, no matter what the subject is. Whether he's talking about a silverback gorilla, whether he's talking to Jordan Peterson about politics or some cultural thing, whether he's talking to the guy that we were just talking about with the ancient. It was ancient aliens or whatever it is.
Oh, Ancient Apocalypse, Graham
Ancient
Hancock.
Apocalypse. Yeah, Graham Hancock. Right, he's talking to him, whatever it is, or he's talking to an MMA guy, or he's talking to a celebrity. No matter what it is, he's always on what is something that is going to be interesting. He's always talking
That's
about very
how I
interesting things, and
What
that's
is
kind of
interesting?
yeah, and that's where I feel like we're going to. Even when we're talking about this, it's kind of like a roots thing. We kind of have to go to it. You know what I mean? It'll be like if somebody brought up Fear Factor to Joe Rogan, he's got to at least address it. Oh yeah, I
Right.
did do that, and this is something we kind of built the culture crime fighters on, and now I feel like we're fighting other culture crimes outside of just the pop culture, outside of just the media. You know what I mean? We'll talk about whatever, and I think that's a lot more interesting, and there's a lot more to it. And I would say, you know what? If you want to expand if we're talking to all the creators that are bigger than us, then sometimes do check in. And if you haven't canceled me yet in your head, because I didn't piss you off, maybe you want to expand, because that's the one for your own mental health, so you don't mentally fatigue. And two, just so you can get other people who are in other cross sections. That's what made Ripper so effective. He would talk about comics, or he would do some music stuff, or he would do stuff. He started off doing covers. That's what really grew his channel back in the day. Before it was mainly on the culture war and the comic stuff. He was doing music covers. That's how he grew his channel. So like, getting into other cross sections is not just good for you as a content creator. So you're not just like, oh, Disney's woke this week and it's because of this. It's good for you to get people outside the space to actually pay attention. So it's a dual benefit.
And I also feel like sometimes it's like we talk about, like, you could argue kind of that like like sports is a relative taboo in what we talk about, right? Because it's
we get shit sports ball.
Yeah, and it's like it's like not really why we're talking, but you see people in the chat will engage with it.
Yeah, there's other people who engage. Yeah, because sports is a relevant thing. There's a lot of people, we've watched sports our whole lives. That's why it was fun talking about our sports rigged. Yeah, I definitely believe it. There are people who don't. There are people we challenge. And that's fine. That's cool. And then we could just talk about what happened with the Jets, or what's happening with the World Series, or NFL, or basketball, whatever. You know what I'm saying?
And you just see that people are not as closed off to the idea as you imagined. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which is that's the thing. It's like I guess what I would like. I don't know how to make it established. I don't know how to earn it yet necessarily, but I do want to have the freedom to talk about whatever I want.
Yes, I think you got to earn it by just doing it and making it effective. If me and you have effective and interesting conversations, which I think we do, not to pat ourselves on the back, but I think we do, regardless of the subject, people will follow. I think, because I mean, I love you guys talking to the fans, and hopefully I'm in the chat. I may be doing something at work. Sorry if I am. But I do really appreciate you guys, and I see you guys in other places and in other chats, and you follow us. You like our stuff. And we appreciate it, man. We appreciate it.
Fucking
And shit, as cold-hearted Ascension Dildo, who I think is kind of another true North character in our fan base, he'll watch me play a fucking video game he doesn't care about just so he can talk shit. So I take that as high praise coming from him. You know what I'm saying? So thank you for enjoying our content. But you know, we're as tired as the culture stuff as a lot of you guys were. We weren't when we started to say, you know what, we were tired of talking about this stuff. How much support did we get from the chat? Because they were tired of listening to it.
No, it's true. I mean, there were people, even while we were talking about it, we were getting people that were just like, right.
Because you get to a point where it is what it is. And shit, there's still good content outside of the space. I mean, I still got to finish up fucking that Edge Runner shit. That's just incredible, man.
Great show.
Like, there's good stuff being made. There's a lot of good stuff. I mean, I know you found the podcast space. You're always coming up with something from there. And I mean,
how funny was that Chappelle thing?
It was great. That was great. And there was no culture war. I didn't have to worry about how the radical left were going to react.
Yeah.
I didn't have to worry about none of that shit. I could just enjoy a well-done impression, a well-done joke. Yeah.
It's a funny joke and just have fun.
Yes. There's more to life, man. There's more to life. You got to have fun. Get some fresh air. It was cold now. It's even cold in Texas. Jesus.
It is cold in Texas, yeah. But it's you. I always credit you. You were the first one who pointed it out. And I just remember you were just like, so this is what we do?
Yep. Black man did it first.
Someone says Superman's gay, and then we get it, and we're mad.
Yep. Was that my actual thing? It might have been.
It might have been that, or it might have been bad. It was something. And I just remember my first reaction was just like, that's what we do. What are you talking? Well, I don't understand. Yes, it's exactly what it is. But then it was like I thought about it more, and it was kind of like, they're basically saying jump, and I say how high.
Yes, that's what it is. I don't want them to live rent free. Like, okay, putting a red hot poker in Superman's ass is a bit much. And I think that was around the times, because that's why I said, is it the Superman thing? Because when I saw that, I'm like, this is so extreme. This is ridiculous. This is like, and then we read it and it was like supposed to be this is like a thing from slavery. I'm like, and that's why first thing I thought, like, is this some old bug breaking shit? And it actually was. Oh, you bug broke Superman. I threw my hands up. I said, okay, guy, you win. Whatever, everything. I just threw my hands up at that moment and said, so I'm not even mad. I don't even care. You win. I'm done.
That's how I felt. I remember I felt that way. Like I was kind of getting there, but it was when it really hit me was the Lord of the Rings.
Mm-hmm.
That's when I fucking was like, I'm done.
Oh yeah, that broke you because the reaction.
I'm like, what are we doing? What are we doing? I'm gonna watch this fucking hot garbage, this trash, and like hope to get clicks on my reviews, on my coverage
10 weeks,
of it.
Or whatever it was.
Like, no, I'm not. I'm not doing that. This is beneath me. I do not want to have this discussion. I do not want to hate watch it and make videos for everybody. I hate it. I hate this, and you know what? Fuck it. I quit. Like,
bro, from what I saw from that first episode, that shit didn't deserve the dignification of being destroyed. You know what I mean? It's
That's
like
what
this
I mean.
This is beneath
Not
all
even
of us.
Worth it? Yeah.
All of us. We shouldn't be acknowledging that. We shouldn't be platforming this shit in our own minds. Like this shit.
Exactly.
This is not that's the thing that's the biggest takeaway from that Lord of the Rings. Like, this is not a valid product in any way, shape, form, or fashion. This is not real. This is not television. This is not anything. This is just this shit does not deserve the dignification of a response or any intelligent discourse or anything. It doesn't deserve analysis.
We're talking about this? No, I'm not talking about
dumpster fire at best.
Yeah, like and I said, I'm not going to get upset at anyone who does. I'm not going to tell people what they should and shouldn't cover. Like I said, Gary's channel is bigger than ever by a lot.
Good for him. But even he's covering, which I miss when Gary would get on the woo as he called it. He covered.
Well, tonight he was.
Yeah, but he did it last week too. I think he's doing like every episode of it. I'm guessing.
Yeah, so it's like he still does it too, but it's like I'm not no way shitting on him, no way telling him what to do. It's just that for me, I can't. I don't find it interesting enough. It's also not monetized for me, so it's just like, okay. Or if it is monetized, it's a very meager amount. It's like it's just not worth it.
Yeah, and honestly, I don't think, man, shit. A lot of times when we do get on these subjects, the people in the chat, I'm sure when we go back and we're watching this, we're gonna see people in the chat when we get to Iger and Chapek go, we're gonna see some sighs and some groans. It's old news to us. We know it's happening. The culture war is not as bleak as it once was if you're keeping up with it. Plus, man, outside the culture war, there's a whole world you need to experience. Live life, go breathe some fresh air if you can, do something, have a drink, or if you don't drink, hard soda or some shit, and just live, man. Try to live. So yeah, another 2-hour episode. Yeah, I think we're doing good stuff, man. I feel like we're going in the right direction because that's how I feel.
I'm with it. Look, I'm having more fun.
Hey, that's important.
I've been enjoying it, and like that's really what I want to do with all the stuff. Anyways, have fun.
Yeah, man. Yeah, because there's no guarantee of success. You gotta have fun.
Yeah,
because that makes it worth it, regardless of what happened.
Yes.
Yeah.
100%. So
yeah.
Fucking A, Chad. Thanks for hanging out with us. Appreciate you, all of you.
Yeah, man.
People.
Love you, man.
Love you, man.
So yeah, that's the show. If you like the video, please like the video. If you're so obliged to share and subscribe, please do that. And even if you do none of these things, thank you for watching. Thank you for your time. Good night or good afternoon. And God bless. We'll all talk to you later. Peace.
Fucking A, deuces.